Honored members of the court, I'm sure we have all worked at jobs where we noticed that someone above us on the totem pole was, shall we say, unqualified? Someone who clearly didn't know or didn't care about the realities of what was going on around them and the daily problems that those working beneath them had to deal with. The micromanager who repeats the customer is always right and never remembers the second part in matters of taste, and thinks that looking good to the customer and their own bosses is the only thing that matters and will happily throw their employees under the bus to just look a little bit better, even if in completely inconsequential ways. The person who takes credit for everything good that happens but blames everyone else when anything goes wrong, regardless of how much they actually had to do with either. The person who clocks in, does nothing but tell everyone else to work harder all day, and gets paid 10 times as much as the people who are actually making the business function. Especially the ones who are actually delusional enough to think that they are the reason the business works, or that the people working under them like them and totally wouldn't be happy to see them fall off a bridge with an anchor and a bunch of explosives tied around their neck. Whether you work in an office, or a grocery store, or anywhere else, I'm pretty sure we've all had those experiences, except of course the Nepo babies who get their job handed to them on a golden platter and are in that position from the very beginning. Imagine you are someone who has single-handedly been keeping a business running. You handle everything, from overseeing day-to-day tasks and making sure they get done, to handling customer complaints or requests. Literally everything that gets accomplished is your doing. And yet, you're not the boss. No, there's someone above you. A Nepo baby in the most pure form of the word, literally born into his position of wealth and prestige. In fact, you basically had to raise him yourself. And you did your best, but having everything handed to him unavoidably made him very spoiled. So much so, in fact, that he really thought he could do things without you, and had the audacity to fire you. You, the only qualified person to actually keep things running. You, basically his mother. You, the one who knows the ins and outs of how every single daily task works and has kept them running since before he was a twinkle in his daddy's nutsack, and he just throws you out. Not just out of your job, but out of your home. Wouldn't you be just a touch upset? Wouldn't you be justifiably concerned about how everything was going to be run in your absence? Now imagine that it's not just a business you were running, but an empire. People's lives count on you. Whether or not people eat or have a roof over their head depends on your choices. Dealing with invaders, international trade, taxes, all of it depends on you. And you've just been tossed out on your keister by someone who has no clue about any of that and thinks that being emperor just means sitting around getting luxuries brought to you and insulting noble ladies who are offered for marriage to help forge or solidify alliances. He's going to run the empire straight into the ground if he's left unsupervised, and he just threw you, the only person holding it all together, out. Wouldn't you, out of patriotic duty, a duty to your people, feel the need to take action to ensure their well-being? To ensure that the kingdom was in the capable hands of someone who could lead it to prosperity, not in the hands of a selfish twit who couldn't count to 5 with both hands, a calculator, and a mathematician guiding them? This, of course, was the question facing the only real qualified leader the empire had. Someone knowledgeable in not just running an empire, but being gifted in science and magic alike. The true empress and a light that could never be snuffed out, Yzma. Little enough is known about her origin. She's just sort of always been there, long before Emperor Cusco. She helped bring about the prosperity that the empire had when Cusco was born. Possibly with the help of her potions, who knows. She is joined by her assistant Kronk, who seems to also act as a cook, and a quite skilled one. I would personally love to taste his spinach puffs, they look great. He's also a total sweetie, basically a golden retriever in human form. if that retriever worked out 20 hours a day. He's the definition of a himbo, and quite lovable for it. The crimes she stands accused of are attempted regicide, kidnapping, usurping power, and practicing alchemy without a permit. She has been the guide and leader for this empire likely long before Kuzco was ever born. We don't really know anything about his actual parents. They don't seem to be in the picture at all, so for all we know, Yzma was responsible for taking care of him from day one. Now, if that is the case, she likely could have chucked him in a river when he was born, made a crocodile very happy, and gotten the throne for herself right then and there. But she didn't. Instead, she acted as a regent and raised him up as best she could, although there was clearly interference by people who turned him into a spoiled, selfish brat. One so cruel, he'd have an old man thrown out of a window because of his own inability to watch where he's going, or to kick a family off their ancestral land to build himself a new playground as if he doesn't already have an entire palace that he can do whatever he pleases with. He's clearly out of control and has no idea how to lead, and will probably turn the empire into a smoking crater within a week without her at the reins. What choice does she have but to act in the people's defense? She has a quiet dinner with Kuzco that is rather awkward after the whole, getting fired thing, but Yzma does her best to make small talk. It's clear through the conversation that Kuzco is completely incapable of diplomacy. It's possible that she wanted to give him one more chance, to see if he could understand the error of his ways and backtrack a little. But he doesn't. He's too arrogant to see his own issues. So really, there is no choice. For the good of the people, he has to go. Yzma tries to make it quick, clean, and painless for him, with a poison that, unlike most, seems to be designed to act instantly, something that he won't even notice. A very merciful way to go, really. Much more merciful than how most poisons that have been used throughout history have been designed. This wasn't an action taken out of malice. This was civic duty. If the leadership of a nation is unfit and is a danger to the people of that nation, it is the duty of those who have any ability to do something about it to step in and to put a stop to the situation. That isn't a crime. That's an act of heroism. Especially when you consider how heartbreaking it must have been for her, seeing as how she pretty much raised him, but somebody has to. Unfortunately, a few wires must have gotten crossed somewhere, because instead of the poison, Kuzco is given a potion that turns him into a llama. This distressing situation can only really be handled one way, by removing him from the area and finishing the job. I would like to remind the court at this point that Kuzco was no longer a human, but an animal, and that since Yzma was the closest thing to an owner one could say he had at that point, it's not kidnapping or murder. It's merely someone relocating and intending to butcher a livestock animal that they own and have every right to do with as they please. This, of course, goes wrong too. But at least for the time being, Kuzco is gone and the empire is without a leader. There is no one else to take the throne. No siblings or other family members anywhere to be seen. Kuzco insulted and threw out any potential wives he was shown. Obviously, he has no children, so who was supposed to take charge? The only obvious choice is the person who has basically been in charge the whole time to keep things running smoothly, while the emperor in name only was sitting around being fed grapes. No one else knows how to run the place. No one else has any right to or any history of doing so. She's a well-established figure that everybody already knows, and clearly none of them have any problem with her being in charge, as they throw a very quick funeral showing how little anyone cared about Kuzco or his death, and get back to their daily routines with someone dependable in charge. It's not stealing power if literally everyone else wants you to have it. It's basically a democratic election at that point, with the most qualified person actually winning. If only all elections ended with the person who is actually best suited for the job ending up in charge. She was in charge, whether officially or unofficially. And even when Kuzco was still on the throne, he made it pretty clear he already knew about her secret lab and what she was doing. If the person in charge who literally makes all the laws gives you the go-ahead, there's really nothing anyone else can say about it. Besides, is science illegal? Is the pursuit of knowledge illegal? It's not like anyone else was harmed by any of her alchemy or discoveries until Cusco started throwing a wrench in the works. And that's all basically his fault, not hers. She's basically just studying and practicing chemistry. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a valuable tool in the advancement of medicine and technology. Are we going to start outlawing intelligence now? I mean, I know there are apparently some people who take pride in being as stupid as a sack of bricks, but not everybody wants to trade their last 2 brain cells for contagious diseases, thanks. She's just advancing the sciences and improving the empire around her while doing so. I mean, she's gained the ability to completely rewrite someone's genetic structure to the point that they physically become something else entirely. Just imagine what that could do in the medical field. She is clearly the only real qualified leader the Empire had, and deserved the throne far more than some spoiled brat. Anything she did that might even be considered as a crime was in the name of protecting the people, of advancing their knowledge, and making the Empire a safer, better place for everyone to live. If trying to bring about a better world for everyone else is a crime, then truly, all hope is lost. In the case of Cusco versus Empress Yzma, I declare the Empress not guilty.